Well, hi everyone, and thank you so much for being here. So this is another Coexist meeting, which is basically community gathering, and literally, it's my pleasure to meet people all the time and find the zone of genius of people. And we've had some really awesome people on the Coexist meetings, and I usually ask almost every new person that I meet, wink, to come. Because we all have some zone of genius. And today it's a real pleasure to have Stu Galvis help us work on the vision casting and how did we call it? Vision.
I call it vision actualization or designing our life.
Okay, and that's perfect. So the reason I thought that it would be very helpful, the reason we're going to put this out there and it's recorded, is that I never did this in my whole life until I had to deal with breast cancer. And it's very interesting because during that time, I actually had all of those visualization and I started like imagining what my life could be. So that my focus wasn't on the stage 4 cancer, but rather on life. And so then I started discovering the power of visualization and vision casting and actualization. And we were talking with Stu about this, and suddenly Stu has all those really awesome questions. And it turns out that although I've met Stu in a very different way, Stu is actually a coach, and he's done that many, many times, and he's done it with a lot of people. And so that's why we are very lucky to have Stu today. And I'm going to leave it up to you. I'm going to put a mask on and I'm going to stop talking and you are it.
Great, thanks. So just for context, I know some of you socially, a little bit of shred time, a little bit of hang time, some food time and or music time. I became a real estate broker 20 years ago because that's what my family's done forever and ever and ever. I've done a lot of things that my family has done forever and ever and ever, not least of which being leaving my future, leaving my outcome to other people, right? I was raised by an amazing woman, single mom, and somewhat my sister, And as amazing as my mom is, she is absolutely convinced most of the time that there is more bad than good, that there are more people out to get you than out to support you, that the world is generally a scary place, and that things are generally negative. So I started teaching karate when I was 12 or 13, and my sensei actually did a section of every class that we taught, and it was ultimately called Good Finding. He has gone on to become this amazing public speaker and gets paid tons of money and is just an incredible mentor and just a great example of living a life by design, creating your own life, intentionally. And so I got to start at a pretty early age, just with that sort of mindset and thinking process. Extreme accountability absolutely is a huge part of it with him and his philosophies. And that goes along, with traditional, martial arts, right? We taught traditional Okinawan karate. Well, fast forward a few years, I'm out here in Colorado. I got my real estate license. I wound up with Keller Williams, and Gary Keller calls Keller Williams a training organization that happens to be in the business of real estate. So I had a lot of incredible opportunities to do these very, very high level trainings, or so I thought, with Keller Williams and in smaller mastermind groups, and ultimately had the opportunity to meet some incredible speakers, authors, mentors who just helped me create a different understanding of my ability to design any life that I choose. And that, if you ask me, is what life is all about, right? I was asked by my ninth grade honors English teacher in class, what's the meaning of life, guys? Honestly, I think he just wanted to mess with a bunch of like 14-year-old kids, right? Hey, what's the meaning of life? This will take him a while. And I raised my hand and I said, sat there. I was persistent. I was that guy. And he called on me. I said, it's to be happy. The meaning of life is to be happy, right? And to some extent, he agreed. And that kind of shut down the conversation, which was great. Because you should have heard it. I mean, think about a bunch of 14-year-old boys. It's an all-boys school at that time, right? And what's the meaning of life? Yeah, it was not. You might imagine how that went. Your imagination could be better, but that's okay too, right? Your imagination is powerful. Well, I'm going to tell you that I think it's more than just to be happy, right? What else is important to you individually? Is it significance? Is it legacy? What to you is the meaning of your life? What is the purpose of your life? What is the thing that can drive you? What is your big why, as a lot of people say, right? Why do we do what we do? And when we can create clarity around the why, the what becomes a lot easier to define. And that's my number one goal for everybody here in our time together, is to start to define your what and create an actionable strategy to start to actualize that, to begin to make that manifest, right? And I don't even want to say manifest in your life. I mean, your life, right? How are you going to design your life and start manifesting it immediately? So, there's two resources effectively, I believe, that we need to have to be able to do this. One is time, right? You got to be able to control your time. One is money, right? Financial resources. And, Carl Sandburg, he was a Pulitzer Prize winning author and poet. He won a Pulitzer Prize for his biography of Abraham Lincoln, actually. He said that time is the coin of your life. I'm paraphrasing. And you get to decide how you spend it. But you better be careful lest other people decide for you how you are going to spend it. And time, really, I believe, is the only truly non-renewable resource. Given enough time, you can have more money, you can have more strong relationships, you could have more family, we could all die and we could have more oil. We could become more oil, right? Given enough time. But time truly, because, we're not immortal. We're mortal beings, and we at some point will run out of it. And it happens every day for some people. I was thinking about this today as I was taking my notes. I was like, oh gosh, I don't know, whatever time it was. It's like 11 o'clock. Where does the time go? Any of y'all ever asked yourself that? Where does the time go? Ever? And it can be good sometimes, right? Say, where does the time go? You're talking to somebody that you find really amazing and engaging on the phone, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we've been talking for 2 hours. Where does the time go? That's great, right? You're on a wonderful date, enjoying somebody's company. Where does the time go? Doing something you love. But it can also go the other way too, right? Has anybody in here ever looked at their watch or looked outside and said, oh man, it's dark outside. Where did my day go? Come on. Has anyone ever felt that way?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, it's like, and sometimes it's minutes, sometimes it's hours, days, weeks, months, sometimes it's years. And you stop and you look at, hold on. Where am I right now? At some point in time, where did I intend to be right now, right? How did I get here? And that, I believe, is the definition of living by default. It's killing the closest crocodile. It's right, like, what is the next thing that's grabbing my attention? And I really, I think that's what Carl Sandburg was saying, right? It's like, if you're not careful, you'll just fumble your way through life, just responding to life. And if you ask me, that's the opposite of designing your life. So let's start talking about what that looks like. Who in here has goals? Raise your hand. Okay.
Everyone.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, trust me, I've met people who don't have goals.
I didn't sometimes.
Okay. Does anyone in here feel comfortable sharing any one goal that you have? I know Isa will do it if no one else will.
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay.
I have many. I have another doctor in my practice. I have a very good relationship with my kids. And climb 512. Rock climb 512.
I'm pretty sure I heard you say flash 512, which, you know, for the non-climbers, sending it, you know, sending something first try, right? Taking no falls, right?
Yeah.
Those are amazing goals.
Yeah,
and that's great. So what are your goals? Where do you organize your goals? How do you organize your goals? How do you define what your goals are? And that's the first piece, right? What do I intend for my life to look like 5 years from now? So I really want you all to write that down. I gave everybody some pre-work. Hopefully some of you all at least thought through the answers to some questions. But really, I want everyone to take the time outside of here. You can start right now. Start pecking things out on your phones. Or text your babysitters, whatever. What do I want my life to look like 5 years from now? And I want you to get really, really specific.
Did you say 5?
5 years from now. 5 years from now, what does your life look like? And I would encourage you to think about 4 quadrants. So if you're drawing it out on a piece of paper, and I actually love this exercise. I like the really massive Post-it note style, which this is not very, functional when you're trying to record something on a small screen with a camera. But I want everybody, as the start of this exercise and this process of designing your life, write, basically create quadrants on an entire sheet of paper.
That's a full sheet.
Yeah, full sheet. Vertically and horizontally bisect that sheet and give yourself 4 equal quadrants. And I would encourage you to write in the upper left quadrant, personal. And then in the upper right quadrant, you get to decide this one. Maybe it's relationships. Maybe it's, health. Maybe it's one area that's most important to you, where maybe you can make the greatest impact in your life, right? The areas where we can maximize or realize the greatest opportunities in our life are those areas that we want to see be most different. So what does that look like for you? And get really, really specific in that area. But that's for you to decide. One thing that I would encourage you to consider, when filling out your quadrants, so Steve Graves, Dr. Stephen R. Graves, was born and raised in South Mississippi, right on the Gulf Coast, like an hour from where I was raised outside of New Orleans. And I mean, the guy's one of my heroes. He's, I would say pretty close to a genius. He's brilliant. He's a CEO coach. He's an author. He's part-time theologian. If you read his biography, it says, I like to span both sides, right? And I'll have the Harvard Business Review in one hand and, you know, some book on theology in the other. He wrote an amazing paper that were called the 6 Disciplines of Personal Sustainability. And it's really amazing. You know, sustainability is an environmental sustainability is our ability to use resources without inhibiting or preventing future generations from using those resources in the same ways. Personal sustainability is basically a way to create and use your own energy such that you don't wither away in your life, but rather you build and you grow your life and you find that you're more fulfilled, you have more energy, you are more successful as your life continues.
So that's the second one.
No, I'm going to encourage you guys to decide what you want to put in
so
the
we
second
don't know,
one.
okay, yet.
But his, you know, 6 disciplines of personal sustainability are strategic clarity. So that's the, you know, how am I going to do something? That's what we're going to start working on today. Hopefully all of you will start taking action steps to create a plan for how you're going to make manifest this life that you design for yourself. Because whatever you can imagine, you can create.
Can you give us the other 2 quadrants so that we know which one not to put? Because if I put finance here.
Put business and finance in the bottom 2.
Thank you.
That's a great point.
So business, finance, okay, cool.
Yeah, and honestly, most people, when they do this, they put business and finance on the top.
Yeah, exactly, right. You probably cannot read my handwriting. Personal choice, business, finance. And business can just be work if you're not in a business. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So life balance is another one of his 6 disciplines of personal sustainability. And I'm happy to share all of this with you if you'd like. We'll share some notes after the fact. You know, how do you create balance, you know, amongst the most critical assignments in your life? We don't say responsibilities, that's low energy. Say the most critical assignments in your personal and work lives, right? Relational quality. This one's huge for me. This is one of my greatest areas of opportunity for massive change moving forward. Hi, I'm Stu. I got divorced 2.5 years ago. And, you know, as Sarah and I discussed earlier, I'm an extrovert. Yet after my divorce, I ran away and hid for years. Honestly, I ran away and hid maybe until I met Isa. And I was not myself, and I forgot all of these things that I used to know, all of these things that we're talking about tonight. And it's funny because she asked if I wanted to do this, you know, it started as a very different idea. It was going to be like, oh, business planning. Great, because I'm really good at that. She was like, oh, but everybody who will watch or attend, they're not all business owners. They're not all entrepreneurs. Because I've done lots of coaching with entrepreneurs and business owners, done lots of training with entrepreneurs and business owners, but ultimately that's not even my main focus in life. The only question that you're answering when we try to identify, hey, what do I want to do with my business? Sure, it can impact significance, but it's, well, great. How am I going to use the tools that I create for myself in business to build my perfect life? And defining what that perfect life looks like is really the first step in the process. You want to build a business plan? You've got to begin with the end in mind.
Yeah, so, sorry. I love those exercises, so I'm maybe a little OCD here. But personal, then you have the choice. And in the choice one, then business and finance. In the choice one, you're saying, think of something where you're going to have the most impact.
Yeah,
And then which is going to have the most impact on you. Is that what you said?
correct.
Okay. And then you are saying for you, it's relationship.
Yeah, for
Relationship
me,
quality,
it's relational quality.
But then you said there is also strategy clarity, life balance.
So, okay, it's very good.
Yeah.
So again, when you look at Steve Graves, his 6 disciplines of personal sustainability,
Yeah.
strategic clarity is one, right? Have 20/20 vision around how you're going to do what you are going to do. Business contribution or professional contribution, right? Are you doing something that fulfills you, that provides some level of value for anyone in the world other than you? Life balance, relational quality, spiritual vitality is one of his, which, it's different for different people. And then financial fulfillment. For me, an entire quadrant is relational quality.
Got it. So that's what you mean. Okay.
Because that is the biggest area in which I can make the greatest impact in my life.
But how is that different than personal?
Oh, in personal, I've got travel. I've got,
Sorry, maybe I'm the only one who wasn't following completely. But okay. Okay.
So let's talk about these quickly.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is everybody's number one assignment. After we leave, our time together here today, how do I fill these out? What do I put in there? So I want everyone to do this with a 5-year lens first. What does my life look like? What does my personal life look like in 5 years? And travel is a huge thing for me, and travel with my boys. And I sort of framed mine a little bit differently. Mine is travel every quarter with my boys. And it's, take one long weekend every month. In my business plan, I've got 8 weeks off effectively at the end of the day, right? My intention is to work 10 months. That's about what I can handle. But that's going to be determined by ultimately your goals and your plan and what you want your life to look like. There are some people that love working, or they love yard work, or they want to renovate properties, right? They want to, like, one of mine is to own 6 investment properties again. There are reasons for that, but generally they're based on time and money, because it's all about our financial resources, our temporal resources. How do we build this life? Well, first of all, you can't build anything if you don't know what it looks like first. You got to have a blueprint. That's what designing your life looks like. What is my blueprint? So what do you want your personal life to look like? What are the key areas that are most important to you in your personal life? 5 years. And then I want you to do it again. I want you to draw out your quadrants again, and I want you to do it for 3 years. And then I want you to draw it out again, and I want you to do it for 1 year. So it's 5 years, 3 years, 1 year. Now, the fun thing is you can reverse engineer all of this stuff back to even figure out, okay, what is my one thing for the next 24 hours, right? What is the one thing that I'm going to do by 7:33 p.m. Mountain Standard Time tomorrow night to know that I'm moving in the right direction? And that's all about that strategic clarity. And so it's interesting, right? If success for you is living this life that you imagine for yourself, that you then take from your imagination and create a design, right? How does an architect build anything? How do they do it? Yeah, they plan, but what's the first thing? What are they planning for?
I mean, they have a vision. Is that what you're saying?
Space.
Space for them, a vision, but a vision of what?
I mean, of what they are making, right?
The ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. So do you think an architect kind of imagines the shape and structure of a building that they intend to build?
Yeah, probably. And then an engineer comes and says, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah. And if they're any good, say, okay, well, great. How do we do it?
Yeah.
And that's it, right? There's no such thing as can't do it. Given enough time and enough money,
Yeah.
what can't you do?
Mm.
That's a live question. Is there anything you couldn't do given enough time or money? Look at Howard Hughes.
I'm pretty sure I would never have a good voice no matter how many lessons I took.
Boo, and I disagree. You just haven't found your voice yet.
A couple things that I couldn't do. I think voice would be one of them.
Maybe not. If you say so, that's absolutely certain.
It's okay, it's not a gold mine.
Okay, well, good. Well, thank God. Okay, because I actually get really worried for you for just a second there. So if success, right, in designing and actualizing, right, manifesting this perfect life, if you will, if that is success as we define it here today, because that's our goal for this, right? Everybody's going to go design their perfect life and they're going to start living it tomorrow. We're going to talk about one of my favorite things ever, and this applies to everything ever, period. It's called the success formula. Please write this down. The success formula. And if anyone knows what it is, you're my new favorite person. Anyone?
Commitment.
I think I've read that in this before, but I don't remember exactly right now.
I hope you have.
I have one over there.
You have one?
Yeah. Extraordinary. Oh, man. Extraordinary effort and unwavering faith towards the outcome leads to miracle. And I really love it because it's like if you
Extraordinary effort and
so
unwavering faith
unwavering faith leads to miracle.
leads to miracles.
Yeah, by Hal Elrod.
I love that.
I love it. I have it on my fridge.
I mean, I can't disagree with that. That
No.
is not
The one.
my success formula as I've learned it and implemented it. But this really is like the secret to everything, if you ask me. So we're going to write out a formula. Leave room on the left side. Start a little bit to the right. If you're doing it on lines or whatever, just leave some room on the left because we're gonna add some things, and then you can put it up on the screen.
That's right.
So skills. We'll do a linear equation. We'll just write it straight across. Skills times habits. Skills times habits times habits. Oh God, you're gonna equals.
Okay.
All right. Skills times habits equals results.
What's on the left?
I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
I bet you could guess it.
Uh-uh.
So think about it. What does that mean? Skills times habits equals results. Anybody want to share what that means to them? What's a
Tell us.
skill? Well, what's a
Tell us.
skill?
Something that you know.
You hate self-discovery so much. What is a skill?
Something that you know how to do.
Okay. Just because you know how to
do it, but you may not do it well.
Huh?
So,
But it's still you
skill
do it well. Yeah.
is a refined ability to do something.
Excellent
Yeah.
ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. mean, there's not necessarily a wrong answer, but does everybody have their own definition of what skill is or what skills means?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So think about it. Skills, your ability to do something, times habits. Has anybody read the book Atomic Habits?
Yeah, I love that word.
What's a habit?
Consistent.
Dad, come on, use your mouth. You're using your hand. Yes, that's it. Say it.
The things you do over and over.
Yes, things you do over and over and over again. We all live our lives habitually. Ooh, it's going to get scary here very soon. I've got this incredible transformational coach that I've worked with for a very, very, very long time. His name's Tony Caliendo. He's the man. He and his husband Reagan are both transformational coaches. Talk about being the same person. They subscribe to a belief that, based on lots of science, they say around 94% of all of the outcomes in our life are the result of our conditioned habitual thinking.
Well,
I'm going to soften it up just a little tiny bit. And I'm going to say over 90% of every outcome that you experience in your entire life is the result of your conditioned habitual thinking. And it comes from your subconscious mind. It's not something that you can actively control, but you can change it. If I've said anything that has triggered any one of you and you're like, oh, no, and don't lie. I know some of you like have those little knee-jerk reactions like, oh, no, maybe not in this group.
I just think that like the group that are doing this and the people who are listening to this and taking time to do this are probably less likely to be those who are governed by their habit.
Ooh, that's an interesting.
Yeah, because otherwise we
thought.
would not be here.
I'm going to tell you that you and I and everybody in this room are as governed by our habits as anyone in the world.
Probably.
I believe that we might have chosen more intentionally, more effective habits.
Yeah.
But that's it. If you want to be successful at anything, build the right skills, create the right patterns of thinking and behavior in your life, and reprogram yourself in how you think, right? You can reprogram yourself. But develop the right skills and the right habits, and you can have anything you can imagine. You can make manifest anything you can envision. Now, planning is one of those skills that you're going to have to build. Checking in on your plans, that's a habit, right? Working your calendar, because if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist, right? Checking in with your calendar regularly, blocking your time to be intentional about how you spend that coin of time, right? Versus just starting your day, killing the closest crocodile and letting other people spend that coin for you, right? You can reprogram yourself. There's several ways. One of my favorites is affirmations. Does anyone in here do affirmations? I know you have. Anybody else?
That's my favorite thing.
No,
it's not my favorite thing to do. Honestly, I feel so uncomfortable doing affirmation, except climbing, but I do it for my friends, not for me. I don't do it on the wall.
Yes, that is totally for you.
I totally don't
You
do
surround
that.
yourself with supportive people so that when you do it, it adds value. They're a magnifier for you. So,
but it is very uncomfortable to do affirmation. I don't know. I don't know because you've asked how many people here do affirmation, but I think the real question is, have you ever done affirmation? But it made you uncomfortable, so you stopped it. That would be
okay. So I tell you what, I'll share with you all my daily affirmations. They say that affirmations should be I am statements, right? It's got to be present tense. It's got to be related to you directly. This is literally how we reprogram our subconscious mind. So here are my wake up You know, they say to do them every time you eat, but sometimes I don't make the time. I haven't built the habits of making time to eat as often as I should. So that's something I'm working on. That's an opportunity for me. So I'm the best at what I do. I listen more than I talk. Everyone with whom I speak wants to do business with me. And my favorite, I recognize my fears and take action without being hindered by them.
I'm going to steal them.
You should. Any that are important for you. Anytime you ever find yourself saying, oh, I'm not good at fill in the blank, create an affirmation that's completely antithetical to that belief. Oh, I'm not good at following my calendar. Literally start, reciting an affirmation to yourself aloud every time you eat. So at least it's once or twice a day.
What was your fear one?
Right?
I
I recognize my fears and take action without being hindered by them.
That's bad.
Yeah.
You can have it.
Oh yeah, I'm stealing. There's no.
I did fully make that one up myself.
It's called
too.
inspirational. I recognize my fear and take action without being.
I recognize my fears and I take action without being hindered by them.
Wow.
Because naturally, that's not true for me. No, naturally, I'm not good at following my calendar. And I have had affirmations many periods of time in my life where the affirmation is, I live my calendar and my time blocks. So let's get a little more
Left. What's on the left?
It's what we're doing.
Okay.
Let's get a little more.
I have to be patient, but it's really hard with you. Sorry. Okay, I stop.
Let's get a little more algebraic with it. Okay. Put parentheses. This is why we left room on the left.
Sorry.
Get rid of those people where it's like, if you had just let me finish, it
I
would
am
have taken way
patient.
less time than
I'm very patient. I am patient.
Were you like this in school?
What?
Did you do
Oh.
this while you were in school?
Like this?
Did you? Yeah.
Oh, remind me of something later. Remind me of this later. So put parentheses around active or skills times
First time
habits.
habits. Okay.
This is why we left room on the left. Write the word mindset. It is the ultimate.
That's the one?
Yes.
Oh,
Your
Guys.
mindset is the ultimate weapon, the ultimate tool to help you accomplish any of your goals in life or design any life that you could ever possibly choose or want or intend. Ugh, I don't like the word want. Want equals lack. So say intend or choose or envision. But mindset is everything. Because whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. Okay, you know that the parentheses create the multiplication, so you don't need to put the
Yeah, but simply it's
times.
fine. It's French.
It's French. Yeah.
Mindset
France will do math differently.
Times skills, time habits equal result.
It's okay. Yes.
There's an S at result, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Results doesn't matter.
A lot of S.
So skills times habits equals results. Put parentheses around skills times habits.
Sorry.
Write mindset on the outside. That's it. Your mindset, right,
That's so good.
is what will allow you to design a better, more perfect, more exciting, more fulfilling life. By the way, does everybody in here know that happiness is a mindset?
Yeah.
If the secret of life was just
totally.
being happy, then we all would be
Heck
living the
yes.
ultimate manifestation of
Yeah.
life, because we could all choose to be happy all the
Yes.
time. That's a choice. And if anybody feels their, brain going a little haywire when you hear me say that, I'll have that argument with you all day long. But mindset is the ultimate magnifier, right? You want a bigger outcome? Change your mindset.
Yeah.
And this is, okay, so another one of my favorite sayings, I'm sharing a lot of my favorite nuggets. Write this down after you hear it. I'll give you time. Your blank only grows to the extent that you do.
That's really good.
Fill in the blank. Your life, your business, your relationships, your whatever it is, car collection, I don't know. You know, whatever it is,
No,
that's
for
not
sure,
a thing for
yeah.
me. But your whatever, your fill in the blank, your blank only grows to the extent that you do. And the most important environment to control is the environment of your mind. What are you growing the environment of your mind with? Who in here has a written growth plan? Okay, for real though, just hands. Does anybody in here have a written growth plan? Dose trace? Three of 174. Yeah, 174 people in here. It's amazing. Wow.
I don't know that I know what the growth plan is.
Okay, so how do we grow? Come on, we're going to make this audience participation. How do we grow? How do you grow
I mean, I
your
get
mind?
coached. Yeah, I get coached.
Okay,
a lot.
you get coached. Okay, great. Do you have it written into your plan that you're going to do coaching? Do you have what type of coaching defined? Do you have how often?
Those are the nuggets, because I have very good vision plan, but I don't know how. Like, I don't necessarily know how to get
You
to
don't
my
have
vision.
a growth plan.
Exactly. So that's what's missing.
Well, that's in my business plan. I'll share
Yeah.
it with you. There you go.
Mhm.
Well, I have to share it with you.
Yeah.
So how do you grow? Come on, what do you do to grow?
Get out of your comfort level.
Cool.
Find
Yeah.
a coach.
Heck yeah. Find a coach. What else can we do?
Reading. I literally found a ton of online free tutorials, wrote down, sent links, started learning that way. Signed up for online learning, meet new people with diverse backgrounds and different mindsets.
And okay, so for the sake of the recording, if people can't hear that, reading, find online resources, podcast, meeting people, but what people are you going to meet?
I think it goes back to what you were saying. It's outside of what you already know.
Yeah.
So just trying to put yourself in new environments to meet new people and then find out how they've learned what they learned or where they go.
Yeah.
So like BDSM or
I hear that's in my actual vision.
well, if that's in your vision plan, you're right. You're absolutely right. But you just made the point. That's exactly right. You know, we can be targeted, right?
Yeah,
With
yeah.
the groups we look at. Sarah, you wanted to say something. You're about to.
Mentors.
Mentors. Yeah,
Yeah.
mentorship. Does everybody in here have a mentor or two or three?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Good. If you don't, find one. Guess what? Do you know what mentors love? Real mentors? They love mentees. Yeah, they love mentoring. They love sharing their knowledge. Love it.
Yeah, that's legacy right there.
At A to the men, sister. That is legacy right there. What are you leaving behind?
Yeah.
How are you improving the world as a result of your having been a part of it? By the way, is that in your plan, your personal life plan?
So, so when you're thinking of your mindset, you're thinking of how am I going to change my mindset?
How do I grow the
How do I
environment
grow-
of my mind?
Yeah.
And yeah, books. Sure, there are very good online resources and podcasts, but be careful finding things online. I'm just saying.
There's some good stuff. Like some good.
Yeah. There's
Do the things you're scared to do.
ah.
That's-
Ooh.
Say it again.
Say it louder.
Say it again.
Do the things you're scared to do.
Yeah.
Do the things you're scared to
Yeah.
do.
Just stick running.
Take risks.
You have to take a chance.
Is it scary to do something for the first time ever?
Hell
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Is it scary to do something new? Sometimes. Is it
Yeah.
scary to risk failing?
Mhm.
I mean, what is failure? But that's another
Well,
question.
that's a totally different conversation
Yeah,
altogether,
yeah.
right? I would argue that failure is not trying in the first place. You know, one of my favorite sayings, there is no failure, only feedback, right? How are you going to learn how to do something new? You're not going to be good at it the first time or the second time or the third time or the 100th time, depending on what it is. But again, skills, right? Times habits. So how do you build your skills? How do you grow the environment of your mind?
Yeah.
How do you build better habits? There's something called the concentration cycle. And we're actually going to bring this all right back around, and you're going to be so happy.
Shit.
So a concentration cycle. Some people, I've read everything from 21 days to 90 days. I would generally, err to the side of caution. I've heard 66 days a lot. I think they just made that up. They, whoever they may be.
Concentration cycle.
Yeah, a concentration cycle. How long does it take to form a new habit?
Depends, I think. On,
Moon cycle.
30 days?
yeah, some people say that it's,
I feel like it's longer.
but it's actually longer. It's 6 weeks.
3 months.
Brushing your teeth and doing it 3 times a day.
Yeah, I was
Versus
looking for
like,
60.
oh, I work out
Yeah.
once a day or once a week. Or
Yeah.
So I think it's like
It's 60 or 90 for the longest.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but then it's like completely.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
No, this is great conversation. This is great. This is so good. Yes. Right. It depends on what it is. I totally agree with that. Absolutely. What is it? Well, brushing your teeth twice a day is an easier habit to create. Maybe. Working out every morning at 6 a.m. is not necessarily as easy a habit. And I think it also has to do with how ingrained is the habit that you're replacing.
Yeah.
Because every new habit we create, we're replacing some other habit. That habit might not be doing anything at all. That habit might be specifically not doing something. And sometimes that's the hardest habit to break. And if anyone takes anything away from today, it's first of all, begin with the end in mind. Have a very clear vision of what this perfect life, quote unquote, looks like. And I mean, absolute crystal clarity. Get incredibly granular with this, right? And the shorter term, the goal, right? If you're not talking about a 5-year goal, but if you're talking about a 3, a 1, how about a 1-week goal, a 1-day goal? Be incredibly specific. Be crystal clear on what that looks like, because we've talked about this. I don't necessarily believe that knowledge by and of itself, by itself or in and of itself, is power. Clarity, I believe, is power. And we read and we listen and we work to gain knowledge, but we write and we work and we repeat to gain clarity. And if we are going to design this perfect life, the question is, okay, what does the end look like, right? Stephen Covey says we got to begin with the end in mind. Now, how do we reverse engineer that back? And this whole process of reverse engineering, it's a process, and it's easier for some people than others. Fortunately, that is one of my, as Isabelle calls it, zones of genius. Thank goodness. Because I'd way rather have that come naturally than lots of other things. I can learn a lot of things, but this is a tough one I have found for people to learn. So it takes time and it takes effort, and it is well worth the time and effort spent. But design your life, be very incredibly specific with it, and then reverse engineer out what are all the steps I have to take. What is the gap between here and there? And how do I get from here to there? How do I bridge that gap? And there's just one more rule that we can follow in bridging that gap, getting from here to there, that creates more impact, I believe, than anything else. Yes, mindset is overarching, But that is the law of geometric progression. Write it down. The law of geometric progression. AKA the domino effect. Everybody seen a super cool domino run? Right? Something you may not know is that one domino, based on its size, shape, mass, etc., can knock down another domino exactly 1.5 times its size. Bigger than that, the one domino falls, the other one does not. So when you create the plan to get from here to there, when you create this plan for your life, after you've created the crystal clear picture of what that life looks like, what does your work life look like? Your financial life look like? And by the way, that work life plays into your temporal resources, your time availability as much as anything. What am I going to do with my time to generate money? What kind of money am I going to generate? How am I going to steward the money, the financial resources that I generate for myself to generate maximum return for my life? What does that life look like that I'm building those things with, or that I'm using those resources to build? And then what is your major area of focus right now? You know, what is the most important thing, greatest opportunity for, drastic improvement in your life right now? Like I said, for me, it's relational quality. I have made drastic improvements in that recently. And how do we know what's the next thing that we do? Well, we have to sort all of our dominoes. Once we identify what all of our dominoes are, and we've got to put them in the right order. And when we do that, the 2-inch domino knocks down the 3-inch domino, knocks down the 4.5-inch domino, and so on and so forth. And the law of geometric progression, the domino effect, if you actually stack dominoes, right, based on, one knocks down one 150% its size. I don't remember what the actual numbers are. This would have been a good one to look up. But I will tell you, by the time you're in like the 30s, it's like the height of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. By the time you're in the 50s, it's like the height of Mount Everest. 50 steps. You go from sea level to the highest point on Earth. Not that many down the road. The distance between the surface of the Earth and the surface of the moon were less than 100. You can span any difference, any gap. You can get from here to anywhere if you can, remember, create that strategic clarity, that 20/20 vision around what do I need to do once I know where there is to get from here to there. And then you have to arrange all of your tasks, all of your milestone tasks in order to generate the most efficient return, if you will. Boom, 60 minutes on the nose. There we go. So,
oh, that's so good.
Assignments, fun assignments. So, the 5-year vision in your quadrants, the 3-year vision in your quadrants. By the way, we just talked about the domino effect, right? So think about milestones between here and 5 years, the 1 year. And then I just want you to pick one thing out of your 1 year, the one most important change that you would choose to make in your life. And decide what you're going to do in the next 24 hours. Between now and 8:03 p.m. Mountain Standard Time tomorrow, what is the one thing you're going to do to know that you're moving in the right direction? So take a minute. This is real-time work. Write it down. And then you say you can do whatever you want. Are we going to have questions or what have you?
Yeah. There's a book called The One Thing. It's actually a very good book.
Oh, really? Who
Yeah,
wrote that book?
Can't remember, but I'm reading it. And,
Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, dear friends of mine.
oh, really?
Gary Keller is the founder of Keller Williams Realty, and
yeah.
Jay Papasan and his
That's
wife Wendy are amazing people.
I will tell you who it is. It's called The One Thing.
The One Thing.
I'm reading it right. I'm
I can actually get everybody discounted copies of it.
That's all. Is that him?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is Gary Keller.
Duh. I have been to Gary's mastermind
Oh, that's-
around The One Thing as he was
That's
writing it
funny.
and after it was done.
Funny
I'm
that
so stoked that you're so familiar with this. We haven't even talked about this. That could not have been better.
Well, I before. Well, I guess we can thank you first. Before I, so at the end of those Coexist, we like to review some things that have changed us. I think it's like what was the most like the
Ahas.
one or two ahas that are going to change my life, right? But it is funny because I'm not used to. Are you guys okay? I'm not used to vision casting like this. I think that, and I don't know for you guys, like for me, it's always, and I have it on my phone. I mean, right now I changed it because I almost made everything for the year. It's like, oh, I wanted to become a DJ and I am becoming a DJ and I wanted to have a better relationship with my kids. And
Why don't you share your one big goal around DJing for 2025 with everybody?
well, for 2025, I want to be paid, even if it's for a little bit.
No. and with clarity.
Yeah.
You want to be paid
because payment would mean that I'm that good that someone would want to pay me. That's the only reason I'm not going to stop my job.
So Isa,
What would be that would make you feel that? What's the exact amount?
I don't have an amount,
Just guess.
but I don't have an amount. Like, yeah, I don't have an amount because I don't know.
but I love the specificity of that
Yeah.
question, right? Being specific in your goals, right? Having measurable goals. And for her, it's being good enough that anyone decides to pay her
Yeah.
to do it. Because I said, well, wait, I could just pay you to DJ, in January and your goal is accomplished for the year. Said, no, I want somebody to want to pay me and think it's worth
Yeah,
paying me to DJ their event because I'm good enough.
yeah, that's one of them. But so going back, the thing personally that I find so interesting in how you present the vision, right, is that you have a vision, and I think a lot of us have vision, and I really wonder what all of you guys are thinking, but I don't know if you guys knew that this would be like that, right? Because for me, like, oh, we're going to have a vision casting. So I'm going to remove this one. But for me, we're going to have a vision casting is, oh, I'm going to imagine all my goals for next year, right? And like by itself, that actually gets you a lot of things, right? Like I've been doing this for now 5 years, and I had a friend in France that was like, oh, you have a lot of goals. And I was like, well, I have a full year. And he was like shocked, and I was like, well, last year it worked, this year it will work too, and I don't know, out of the 12 goals, I think there are 2 that are not reached yet, but they're very close, so that's good. But I think what you bring is this idea that, okay, that's your vision. First of all, it doesn't have to be just for this year, it can be 5 years. And I'm finding myself, as you've said that, I was like, I have no idea where I want to be in 5 years. So that's number one. Then the number 2 thing is I haven't actually thought of the dominoes that I need. Like in general, I just get a coach. I'm like, oh, I want to DJ. Oh, there's a teacher. Yeah, I'm going to do the DJ. I'm going to learn how to DJ with a coach. If I want to have a better business, I'm going to find the people that I think are going to get me there. But then I'm realizing it's not necessarily as good, because then you're kind of not necessarily in, like, what is it exactly in the business that I want to improve, right? Like all of the things. And so, and I know you do that in generally, 6 hours? Like this type of workshop, you do this at 6 hours. So we have 1 hour versus
4 hours. Yeah.
4 hours versus 1 hour right now. But it is really, really cool to hear you say, what are the steps? And then you're like, okay, I don't know.
Right. And that's I mean, it's a very different thing, because when you talk about getting granular, it's a workshop. So we do it with great specificity. We take a lot of time, there's a lot of feedback, right? And we do it in small groups so that people can expand their thinking with other people around them, right? We act as magnifiers and amplifiers of one another. That's why you have your climbing affirmations with all of your badass climbing friends. But it's very specific. We touch on fewer topics. We just get really clear on defining the vision, and you have to remove a ton. Everybody, even everybody in this room, even Isa, we've got to work through removing limited thinking in that process, because we all have it. Even if we think we're super expansive, limiting beliefs and limited thinking is one of the leading causes of our living a smaller life than we could. So we really work on removing that, and we challenge our goals. We challenge our beliefs.
So it's really interesting because because I feel like in rheumatology, for me, it's obvious, right? So I'll see a patient and I'll be like, remission is where we're getting you. And I know exactly how to get there to remission. So this is the first step. This is the second step. This is the third step. And I'm just realizing that, I don't know that I know how to do this in all this other area, especially in rock climbing. And maybe I don't want to. That's maybe what it is. And I have a couple of friends here that know that I've been saying that I wanted to do 512 for a little while. But it is interesting, like this idea that now I'm personally going to look at this equation and be like, okay, where is my mindset? Do I believe that I can do a 512 without fear? What are my skills and what are my habits?
Yeah, did everybody hear that last part? That was probably the most important part. She breezed right over it. Without fear.
Without fear. The skills and the habit. The skills in rock climbing, I think I have quite a bit. Habit, I have terrible habit in climbing where I will just freeze. And the mindset is that I'm scared.
Sounds like a good place for an affirmation.
Yeah, right. That's a good one.
I have excellent habits that support my goals in rock climbing.
I love that. Okay.
Can I add one for you?
Yeah.
Instead of without fear, it's what to do
With
if
ease.
fear is present.
Oh, I love
not
that.
have the fear freeze you up, because most likely it's going to be there.
Yeah.
You recognize that you're going to have fear, and how do you keep moving?
That was your affirmation,
that's
right?
a part of the mental process. Like,
I recognize
before
my
you're like,
fear.
okay, I'm probably going to get a fear here. So what do I do?
Yeah, what do I do with fear? So I guess there's a cat here. Like in terms of what have I got from this, and it's really interesting because we have been talking about this sometimes a little bit more granular even. I feel like even now I have a better sense of what I need to do to get a sense of what the dominoes are. So I don't know that I have all my dominoes just yet, but I'm like, oh yeah, like when I'm going to start like thinking of my year, I'm going to look really carefully at what does that look like in each of the quarters for 2025? What does that look like for each month? What does that look like for each week? And I don't think I've ever done this. So it would be really interesting next year to see if that actually changed. So thank you.